My name is Rabbi Jonathan Hausman, and I would like to speak to you about my good friend Ken Timmerman, Republican candidate for the United States House of Representatives, Maryland 8th Congressional District. Ken's voice of reason and sanity for our country is much needed on Capitol Hill. I have frequently spoken throughout the United States, Canada, and Europe regarding existential issues facing Israel and American Jewry. Ken spoke at my synagogue in October 2011 about a threat to both America and Israel. That threat, a nuclear Iran. An Iran that may now be less than 6 months away from enriching enough uranium for one or more nuclear weapons. Weapons that the Ayatollahs wouldn't hesitate to use against Israel to wipe her off the map, and threaten the same against the United States. Let me give you something to think about. Imagine for a moment that there's an irrational, unstable, aggressive lunatic who has publicly threatened to kill you and your family at the very first opportunity. Imagine that this threat has been made repeatedly, publicly, time and again, in front of the community, elected officials and law enforcement officers. Imagine that you then receive word that this individual is attempting to acquire a weapon. You have notified law enforcement, and the authorities continue to be ineffective at preventing further threats. What should you do? Should you wait until this person acquires the weapon and arrives at your front door? Or should you take preemptive steps to ensure that this person can never, ever threaten you again? Now imagine that this lunatic is Iran. The weapon in question is a nuclear device. The United Nations is the local police and elected officials, and you are Israel. Consider what Ken Timmerman has done to alert the United States to Iran's threats, to America, to Israel, and to the world. Ken's investigations, beginning over 20 years ago, warned this country of the scope and intentions of the Islamic Republic of Iran to develop nuclear devices. He was nominated in 2006 for a Nobel Prize for his work in uncovering Iran's nuclear weapons threat. Ken's leadership of the Foundation for Democracy in Iran, working with opposition groups inside the Islamic Republic, spotted and spotlighted human rights violations and creation of a civil opposition to overturn the tyranny of the Ayatollahs and mullahs. Ken understands the threat because he was there. As a prisoner of the PLO, Fatah, in a dungeon in Beirut during the First Lebanon War, and in a bunker in northern Israel with Israel's current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during the Second Lebanon War. These moments define Ken's life, his courage, and his mettle. Ken's opponent in this race for the Maryland 8th Congressional District, Chris Van Hollen, has been what Lenin would have called a, quote, useful idiot, close quote, working for the Islamic Republic of Iran's interests right here in the United States. He voted against Iran's sanctions in 2006 when such sanctions could have made a significant difference. He didn't bar transfer of missile technology to the Islamic Republic of Iran back in 1998. Van Hollen refused to accept Jerusalem as Israel's capital, a capital defined by Israel's government herself. Van Hollen opposed authorizing United States funds for the Israeli-developed Iron Dome system, protecting Israel from the onslaught of Hamas, Islamic Jihad rockets now raining down on Israel's southern communities daily. Towns and cities like Beersheba, Ashdod, and Sderot. Van Hollen, with the support of George Soros and Saudi backers, signed a letter in support of J Street, the powerful Washington lobby, seeking to impose a Palestinian state on Israel without negotiations. Van Hollen is endorsed and supported by the Council on American and Islamic Relations, one of several Muslim Brotherhood front groups, listed as unindicted co-conspirators in a major, matter of fact, the major, federal trial involving the illegal funneling of upwards of $35 million to Israel's enemies, including Hamas. For all these reasons, Chris Van Hollen must be defeated. His re-election will weaken America, weaken our relationships with our allies, and weaken our position in the world. On the other hand, Ken Timmerman will do the opposite. He will strengthen America, he will strengthen our relationships with our allies, and he will strengthen our position in the world at large. Please consider voting for Ken Timmerman on November 6th. Time is running out.